Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are up, everybody. Up in a few minutes. Hey, 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 everybody. Hey, hey, hey. I know I'm coming at an odd time, but this is kind of what life of caregiving is about. How about that?
Isn't that the truth?
Thank you. Hey, but you know what? For someone who carried me all of my life, and I have to thank you, Terry O'Neill, for lifting up Black fathers. Um, because I know one of my girlfriends who I went to grammar school with her, she said, "You know what used to move me?" I said, "What?" She said, I would see your father come up to the school, and she said, he always had a lot of people with him, but he was coming into that school because he was coming to see about his babies. And she said he'd come by the room and come by the come by the classroom, and he talked to the teachers. She said, "I just remember him being a very present father." And that is what when my Lisa, your cousin Mark, uh, Lisa Mitchell Sinar. She's from probably the most iconic Black political family in our history, and she and I had the pleasure of rooming together when we were at Howard, and rooming together when my father was about to run for president. It's nothing but God that had us together, because she they Perrin Mitchell's her great uncle, and Clarence Mitchell Jr. is her granddaddy, and Clarence Mitchell III is her father, Senator Mitchell, and we just keep on going. The grandmama's first Black woman to be admitted to the bar in Maryland. This, the administration building at the University of Maryland, College Park, named after her granddaddy, federal courthouse named after all that, all that, all that. And
A great grandmother helped to found the NAACP.
I mean, you
Mm.
know, Thurgood Marshall, Du Bois used to stay with them, all of that.
Right.
And she said, our fathers, they've worked together, and they've had their differences. She said, but you know what? After living with you these past couple of months, I have a completely different view of your father because he's a daddy.
Hmm.
She said, if the phones ring at 5 or 6 in the morning, it's your father or it's mine. I know, and you know this, Livonia. My father would send a car to the dormitory in a minute so we could
That's
have
right.
dinner. I'm like, oh,
That's right.
okay. I was always glad to see him, but I'm like, I'm trying to go here. But he would, and I sometimes just be sitting at dinner doing my work. But he wanted to see me. I remember when Lynn Bias passed. My father was so freaked out by that. He called me, and I was in the dorm. I was working that summer, and I was taking a class or something. My father, came over to the dormitory, came to get me because he wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing any drugs. I'm like, I'm not doing any drugs. My mother was like, as big as that girl is, of course she's not doing any drugs. Oh my gosh. And he said, but I don't want you to do anything foolish because I want you to be healthy, but I don't want you to go over the deep end, because you remember when Sally Jesse Raphael's daughter passed away,
Mm.
and she had a weight problem, and that frightened my father to death.
Wow.
And for like 3 or 4 weekends straight, he had me traveling with him
Mm.
because he wanted me to know that he loved me, not no matter what, but
Mm-hmm.
because of all the things he's always seen, all the things that I am, not what he didn't think I was. And I'm so grateful that I've had him as a daddy. I just, I'm
Uh,
grateful
uh,
because
Lisa, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Santita, it's so significant you're talking about this right now. Just 7 minutes ago, Lisa Mitchell Sinar posted a birthday tribute to her father on
Oh
Facebook.
yeah.
This would have been Clarence Mitchell's the third's birthday,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December 14th. Yep.
And
Mm.
so, and and that was one of our connections because we were always so close to our daddies,
Yes.
you know.
They're like me. They were girl dads. That's what you call a
Hmm.
girl dad.
That's
I
right.
mean,
I was
absolutely,
close to my dad like that. Hmm.
absolutely. I mean, just, and I just, that's what I knew. And, and so and I've been very protective of Black fathers because I'm like, wait
Hmm.
a minute, my daddy, you know, waited in a food line to feed me. I mean,
Hmm.
and made the argument for me to come into the world because I
Hmm.
was one of those college babies. Oops.
Hmm.
what did you say? I was the guest of honor at the wedding.
Yeah, right. I love that
and,
saying.
and he
Mhm.
said, and I said, but you know, you've always made me feel like I was a bit like on my worst day, you always made me feel like I was the best thing that ever happened to you. He said, because you were. He said, that's it. And so for that, I am so grateful.
Mhm.
And, um, and
And
so,
we're grateful that you shared him with us and are sharing him with us.
Yeah,
that
thank you.
was
I'm glad you said present tense because anybody just
Right,
joined, I don't want them to
absolutely.
get the wrong idea.
well,
We're not
Our
talking past
sharing,
tense.
no,
right.
He's with
no, but
y'all. It's a miracle.
no,
I was there,
well,
and the Reverend
I
has
was.
more to do and much more love to give his daughter that she's talking about. So
Well, the thing
praise
is,
God.
the fact that he's here, and there are a lot of people who are in our position, and so I'm just grateful. I'm grateful, and we're going to come up in 10 seconds. I'm grateful. I'm just grateful, and I know I'm not alone. There are a lot of girls who have great fathers, so let's applaud them. I don't care what your color is.
Mm.
The Father's Day holiday
Absolutely.
should not
That's
be the secondary holiday.
absolutely.
It took two to get you here. How about
Uh,
Absolutely.
so?
Right.
So
That's
I'm
right.
with that. So everybody, we're gonna come up in. We're gonna do that in. So we'll make it easier to pull this together. At 30 seconds, we're gonna come up in 5, 4, 3. Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. I think we're sharing this with the Make It Plain podcast, and I'm very excited to do that, of course, with Reverend Mark Thompson, who was about to be Reverend Dr. Mark Thompson. And we just love him so much for all of the work that he does. Make It Plain, one of the best broadcasts. Indeed, he's been acknowledged as one of the top broadcasters in all of America. And of course, the president emeritus of the National Organization of Women, a woman who got me involved in the National Organization of Women in a formal way, Attorney Terry O'Neill, and Lavonia Perryman. Of course, my father pulled her off air and made her go behind the camera. You reminded me of that today, to get involved in politics in a whole different way. He said, yeah, you're beautiful, and yeah, you are a brilliant journalist, but you really need to understand where the power is. You need to know how stories get on the air, how they're edited, who has the power. Go there. Go there, young woman, go there. And she has not stopped. She has not stopped and has been an advisor to presidents, presidential candidates for decades now. We're so grateful, as has Terry O'Neill and Reverend Mark Thompson. So we've got quite a panel. We're going to be talking about two topics, and we're going to kind of run through them. But we're going to what did Ray Charles say? We're going to let it do what it do. How about that? Let it do what it do. We've been talking about this autopsy, how the Democrats lost the White House in 2024. I remember going to my brother, Congressman Jonathan Jackson, had a watch party, and you just didn't feel the energy that accompanies
Mm.
a win when you walked in the room. There was just something that I felt, you know. I know the energy. You know it. I've been in enough campaigns. Um, I've been in enough campaigns to feel it. I remember in 2016, was it? We were in the lobby of the Sheraton in New York. And I was about to go on air at Fox, but I was in the lobby with my brother and a very dear friend of ours, Lourdes Liz. And I saw several of Hillary's top people, and it was about 6:30 in the lobby. I said, "This isn't good," and they'd already canceled the balloon drop. I said, "They know something," because what people need to understand about these big campaigns, and all of you have been in them, you do a lot of internal polling. You know where things are going on the day of. You really pretty much know. Pretty much know. Unless you're in a campaign like Jesse Jackson's campaign, because he was registering his people as he went along. So his people snuck up on you. You never saw his voters coming because he went and got the people who had been forgotten. Something to think about there. So let's talk about this how the Democrats lost the White House, and we have been talking about it. Attorney Terry O'Neill made some great points in the last hour, as did Reverend Mark Thompson. We were talking about the middle class. Terry, why don't you kind of encapsulate things for us? You
Yeah.
and Mark.
I mean, right. I mean, what I've been saying is that there really is not a middle class anymore. In 1970, over 30% of workers were unionized. Today, in the private sector, I think unions account for less than 5% in the private sector, and they're not much more over 10% in the public sector anymore. And if you worked, if you were a union member, you had a really good wage and you had a pension. So fast forward to today, there are no pensions anymore. There are 401ks, which are much more precarious than pensions were. And in addition to that, if you're back in the 1970s, if you're working class, you had a low wage job. Maybe it probably wasn't a union. In fact, it definitely was not a union job, but you might have been keeping your head above water with just one job, working 40 hours a week. In 2025, working class people are working, say you're a cashier at Walmart, you're not getting 40 hours, right? Even if you want 40 hours, they're not giving you 40 hours because they're plugging you in according to an algorithm of when they're going to want you to work. Sometimes you work 25 hours, maybe 30 hours. So you need a second job, but you can't get a good paying second job because your schedule at Walmart is so up in the air all the time.
Right.
What I'm saying is you have I think that the people who are still in control of the Democratic Party have their heads firmly stuck in the 80s and 90s before we understood what was happening to the so-called middle class in America. Just to be clear, who created the middle class? That was unions. Over the years, I've had a lot of problems with unions, to tell you the truth. They were not welcoming of women in the workplace. They were very not welcoming of Black people, men or women, in the workplace for many years. They have tried to modernize and come forward. But even with all the problems we might have with unions, the reality is they're the ones that created the weekend. They created the 40-hour work week. They created a living wage on 40 hours of work. The unions really were responsible for the explosion of the middle class in the 1950s and 60s. That just isn't where America is anymore. I was saying earlier, if you are two adults and one child in a household in the state of Tennessee, not in the most expensive city, Nashville, in the state of Tennessee, in order to just keep your chin above water, you have to be bringing in $74,000 a year. And on that, you're not saving for your own retirement, you're not saving for your kids' college, and you're not saving for a down payment on your mortgage.
But wait, but Terry, that sounds so crazy because like 30 years ago, $75,000 a year was a healthy, salary. That was just a generation ago. It's like, what happened?
Exactly. What happened was, I'll tell you part of what happened was, because before I became president of NOW, I actually taught corporate law and corporate securities law. And what happened was, during the 90s, over the course of the 1990s, corporate law literally changed from understanding corporations as kind of a stakeholder enterprise where the management had to keep satisfied the shareholders and the bondholders and the employees and the customers and the local community and the environment. And they're sort of trying to keep everybody satisfied. Over the course of the years, the law literally changed to hold that said the corporation can exist only for the benefit of the shareholders, and they have to maximize profit, not just make a profit, maximize profit. Well, how do you do that? You squeeze your employees, you make crappier products, so you're screwing your customers. You cut corners every which way you can in order to get as much of the profit as you can up to your shareholders. That's what has happened. It's killed the middle class, and it has really it has sort of created a work ethic and a purchasing ethic in the United States, where whether we know it or not, we are all being utilized to make a very small number of people insanely wealthy.
That's right.
And have our own lives be actually very economically precarious. This falls on Black and brown communities much more harshly than it does on white communities, but it is affecting white communities. And that is really important to understand. That is where a politician like Zohran Mamdani, absolutely gets it, and he attracts so many white people. Like, I'm retired, baby boomer, but I have friends who live in New York City whose kids are white and are affected in just exactly the way I've just described. And they very enthusiastically supported Zohran Mamdani because they understood his message.
And the Democrats would not support him. So
No
that's kind
problem.
of
They tried to sabotage him every time he turned around. It was crazy.
While I live here in New York, while playing footsie with Trump, first Eric Adams. Eric Adams
Right.
was done the day he sold out and cut a deal with Trump. That didn't go over well at all, even amongst much of the white constituency, white electorate here, and good to see Livonia as well. Lord have mercy. Bless your heart. The fact of the matter is, so first of all, this is what we have to understand. There's an enormous Jewish population in New York.
Right.
And let me tell you something else has changed. Not only is Terry right about the lack of acknowledgement of a shrinking middle class, which is no longer exists. It is the working poor.
Mhm.
You also have in this autopsy, democratautopsy.org, for those who want to follow along, Santita, if you don't mind, because I think people need to see that. You can multitask. Y'all need to go to the website and just see what we're talking about. They talk about what happened in Gaza for the first time in history. And a lot of this has to do with this electorate in New York, which is very progressive and very sophisticated. There is no longer any more unconditional support in America amongst a majority of Jewish people for the state of Israel, and especially for Zionism, and especially for Netanyahu. That shifted.
Mhm.
And so people were banking on that because we know AIPAC, if I can say that, has been running a lot of these politicians, and people were hedging their bets with that. So you had AIPAC, you had Trump putting Eric Adams in his back pocket, then Cuomo making this a strange bedfellow alliance with Trump. That turned so between Netanyahu and Trump and Adams and Trump and Cuomo, that turned everybody off. And then you have Mamdani. The ground was set. The stage was set. I can't remember his name. Forgive me. But it was more important what he said. Remember a few years ago, the brother ran for mayor of New York, and he kept saying the rent is too damn high.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
Yes,
he thought it was crazy and didn't think he was going to win. But that caught on. People like, you know what, he crazy, but he right. And then other politicians in other races around the country picked it up. Mamdani took it and applied it. And so it's all common now. Young
So
people,
what you're saying,
black,
you're
Jewish,
looking at-
Latino can't afford it here.
Yeah.
And that's why they've come together.
So, but what you're saying is this is the foundation. These are all the issues that were swirling about in 2024 that the Democrats refused to address.
Yeah. Yes.
They refused
the
the party refused to address it, but the new mayor of New York decided to make it his primary message. Remember, this is all about messaging also.
Yeah.
So he listened to the people in New York, not the party. He listened to the people.
Hold on, stay right there, Livonia,
Okay.
because we're talking about this autopsy.
Mhm.
Because you're looking at this was the biggest, more people voted in this election than since John Lindsay, 1969.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, this was earth shaking. And that's what could have happened in 2024. But 90 million people decided not to vote for either candidate. And so, I mean, that's got to be part of the autopsy too. I mean, these points: voter disenchantment, Biden's betrayal. People have been asking him roots action when they said, hey, don't run, Joe, Livonia. Norman Solomon, Jeff Cohen and company. Oh, this is heretical. What are they doing? They said, look, he said he was going to be transitional. He's struggling. He's had a great career. Let him gracefully get off the stage. We need a primary. Remember, the Democrats canceled the primary in 2024. Remember that? Remember they canceled the primary season. Hold on.
Sure they did.
Abandoning the working class base, which is what you all were talking about, because this is about the money, honey. The Gaza effect. This is what you're talking about. losing young voters. Okay, Livonia, have at it, because you just got
Yes.
a young, you just got a
What
young
the
mayor.
what the
in
study
place.
says, what the study says is that the people lost trust in the party.
Mhm.
And then they list all the reasons why they lost trust. You're right. It goes back to what you were saying, Terry. Here we are, the dynamics of the job, going to work 9 to 5. That doesn't really exist anymore. Is there 9 to 5? Doesn't really exist. So that whole concept that the party was trying to contain us and build their foundation on doesn't work for the people that were the potential voters. Then they decided they were going to, based on the study, they were going after corporate donors who were in the center, not progressive. They dropped the progressive, and not the liberals. They were going after middle of the road corporate donors and hoping that they vote. And then I read deeper that, like you just said, Reverend Mark, they were going after Trump's people or people on the fringes of his campaign, and forgetting that the guts of the election for Democrats were and are and still is females, number one, and as I say over and over, African American females. So when you drop progressive and you decide to go with corporate donors, and when you decide to go centric to the center of the Democratic Party, then you are losing many of the people who are actual voters and have been there for you all along, which have been females. And then, like you said, we had members of the party kissing the ring of the other party members
Yeah.
and other parties. That is a problem. That's the image. That's a messaging problem for the Democratic Party. And so the party might have been in an agreement with that, but the people were not there. They were looking for an organization, Democratic Party, or a party, or some people to support them that would say that you understand that we're having a hard time paying the bills. We're having a hard time feeding our children. We're having a hard time, excuse me, in terms of our health care. Can you present policies, issues, and laws that will lift us up as a community? And the Democratic Party didn't quite hear them. Didn't hear them and missed that boat. That's what I heard and read in that study.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how they lost. Well, not figure out. Speak to the losing young people. I mean, now, Mark, you've got young. Well, your children are young people now.
And I'm young. I'm still young.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. In your heart, my darling, in your heart. It's all right. It's all right.
Oh,
Livonia knows I'm Gen Z.
That's right. As a man,
I met him when he was 8 years old.
that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Right.
That's
I
right.
got you, Mark.
As a man thinketh, so is he. And I am free, white, and 21. That's all. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So just since we can be transracial and everything, okay, I'm Rachel Dolezal Johnson. Okay. So, hey man, but help me to understand, because and this is no disrespect to Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce and Kelly and everybody else, but I was like, I don't know how this is going to work as a drawing card for people. I mean, because I also didn't see them trying to register people to vote. I was missing. Help me, you all. Because
I can help you. I'm going to give you a good example. You just hit on something. When Reverend Jesse Senior Jackson was running for president, there were celebrities all around him, as we know.
Yeah.
But guess what those celebrities did? I was there. You were there. Terry was there. Mark, you was there. They went out and knocked on doors with Reverend.
That's right.
Let me say, Bill Cosby knocked on doors. I know that for a fact.
He did.
Debbie Allen knocked on doors. They knocked on doors. So they weren't just having a concert or come to the rally. they were active. Let's talk about Harry Belafonte. You know, we could talk about many of the celebrities that have been around.
Margot Kidder, Ned Beatty,
Yes,
Willie Nelson.
active.
These are people who, who literally became part of the campaign.
Yes,
You know, but
that was not. That was what was missing. So you're on the right track.
Casey
And
Kasem
I can
his
tell you
wife.
something else that's missing from the autopsy that has to do with your father.
What?
When you get you want me to wait?
No, go on. No, go on.
To Livonia's point. See, here's the other problem. And this is where the Mamdani thing comes in. I know Terry knows this too. The Democratic Party today is actually run and is under the total influence of the white consultant class.
Yeah.
And this is what they say. Don't say nothing, be quiet. Let the other side hang themselves. Don't endorse Mamdani. Don't fight on the Hill.
That's true.
I went up there and met with people. What we gonna do? I said, in other countries in the world, they had something called opposition party. You know, you act like that. Now, here's where your father comes in. This is the white consultant class. Watch this. Now, I've known your father for 40 years. Livonia said I was there actually when I've known him for 40 years, but I wasn't born yet when he ran for president. So but anyway, here's the thing. The white consultant class, all right, usurped and supplanted the Jackson model for winning elections.
Wait a minute, and let me jump in right here.
Did I say it again?
No, I just wanted to emphasize that some of the white consultant class are black.
Okay, that's fine. But not as many, because that was the other issue. That's not in the report either. We didn't get contracts in 2024.
Not the $1,000 contracts.
You stopped getting contracts in 2008.
Yeah,
that's right.
What Reverend Jackson did,
right,
in his campaign, he was running many campaigns at once. Number one, you wouldn't have had Geraldine Ferraro had Jesse Jackson not advocated to put a woman on the ticket. They never gave him credit for that, but that is what he did. At the same time, we found out that politics was a business. So we're in this campaign. You said, wait. We're the backbone of the party. You can't win without us. You ain't got no party without us. And wait a minute, this is a 9-figure enterprise. We have no contracts. Making the T-shirts, the mugs. I mean, beyond. Whoa. He said, well, no. As I'm running, part of my advocacy will be for us to get contracts. That stopped in 2008, did it not, Livonia?
It absolutely did. That's a fact.
And see, also that
because we were supposed to trade all that away to get a nominee, and that was a mistake because we allowed.
And then that affects the bottom line on winning elections.
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson and Marion Barry taught me math. They were my math teachers. So when anybody calls me, I'm sure you get it too, but folk call us every day. I'm going to run for Senate. I said, why don't you start with city council? Don't nobody know. You just keep jumping. Everybody want to do this. I'm running for president. No, you're not. But whatever you're doing, it's not an emotion. It's called political science for a reason. You got to count your votes, and then you have to register the difference in terms of the number you need to win. That's what Jesse Jackson and Marion Barry taught us.
First of all, Marion Barry and Jesse Jackson were asked to run by the people. Reverend was trying to get, that's true first. Reverend was trying to get Maynard Jackson or Andrew Young to run because he said they're more acceptable. They're more mainstream. It's not about me. It's about the process. This ain't personal. He had already been Carter's chief surrogate in 1980. He said, I know how to do this. We can really make this work. You all are more acceptable. Maynard Jackson had been run out of Atlanta, and he was just getting on his feet in Chicago because he had changed the South with his advocacy for Black people in business, and they would not allow him to work in Atlanta. He and Valerie had to move to Chicago, and that's where he went to work. And that was it. He said, look, I'm just getting back on my feet. My wife and I just had a baby. Can't do it. Great idea. Uncle Andy, bless his heart, has always been more conservative. He said, Jesse, this is a crazy idea. Absolutely not. In the meantime, people are starting to say, Run, Jesse, Run.
That's right.
Because we had taken the insult. We asked Mondale and Kennedy not to come into Chicago when we had a Black man who could have become the mayor of Chicago. They not only said no, they came in, it was disrespectful. And when they came in, they were pelted with eggs and rocks.
Right.
And we said, we told you, don't come here. We said, we want Harold. And if you want, and wait a minute, Reverend said, cut us in or cut it out or cut us out. If you want our votes in 84, you need to deal with us in 83. See, wait. We got, and because no one did a proper autopsy of that whole process, because Reverend always ran against the party, because the party didn't want him. Well, I mean, Mark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And what this autopsy does omit that nobody wants to talk about is that approach to winning and mobilizing the base gave way to the white consultant class who wants to do this other. I was in Washington, D.C. in '83 and one of the first Run, Jesse, Run rallies, even though I wasn't born yet. And what
Your
happened?
mom was there.
Huh?
Your mom was there.
Yeah, that works. Whatever. Yeah, that's I like that. That works. So we've got it. An autopsy is what you do on something that is deceased, and the real autopsy has to do with what the Democratic Party did to shun the model and erase the model. Because here's the other thing. Before this white consultant class money was handed out, money was put on the ground to register and mobilize Black voters, Livonia. That's what happened year round. Yes. And there was, your father, Santita, registered more voters than anybody in history. And then if you notice, I'll tell you something else that wasn't mentioned and wasn't mentioned in 2020 either. Voter suppression. It's like that. That's not even an issue anymore.
Oh my gosh.
That has stopped. That's no longer a priority because the consultant class said, don't talk about that.
But wait a minute. But
guess what? But guess what happened? Guess what happened?
2008.
Right. But guess what happened?
What?
And the model when you would apply for jobs, or if you go to the DNC website in 2000, I mean in 1983, 84, 1999, and get to 2005, it was organizer, field director, administrator, deputy. You knew exactly what these were. In 2008, on top of all of that job description, organizers and deputy directors and all of that, field operators, you're right, Mark. I'm telling you, lived it, know it. There was on top of it the silent group of people, consultants, on top of the organizers, on top of the people who were going out to knock on doors, on top of the people who were even doing the mailers. On top of that were people, I saw them. All I can tell you guys, they carried around laptops and smoked cigarettes. I'm telling you what I know. Ain't making it up. It's the truth. And they were on top of, they were on top of, and they were not hot. Wait a minute. That was not in the description of what was needed in terms of how you organize a campaign. It's never said how you organize a campaign. Hire 25 consultants and then public organizers and then street organizers, etc. The quiet money was moved to the consultants. Then they start paying the guys, my cousins, your cousins, and others, $5, $10, $15. They were paying people per person or per vote or per block, but they were paying the consultants per campaign.
Millions of dollars.
Yes. Yeah. So I ain't mad at people making money. I ain't mad at people making money. But if we're talking about
no. You know where I'm at? When you don't deliver.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. When you don't deliver.
Wait. Because Reverend never made millions. Ever. All he asked him for was a plane so he could hit 4, 5, 6, 7 cities in a day.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's all he did. He said, no, pay the staff. You pay them. You know that. because I had to correct one of our close friends. I said, wait. Don't act like Reverend made money off these campaigns. He did not.
Nope.
We still have a campaign debt from 88. They never helped
He
to
paid
retire
his
our debt.
staff. He paid his staff and the
he
people on
made
the
sure
ground.
that the
Every
staff
year.
were paid. He said,
Every year.
wait. But see, the thing is, we're talking then, Terry, about something that's systemic.
Right.
Because Livonia, Mark, Terry, please, Terry, speak to this, because you're part of the Democratic Socialist Group.
Yes.
And not because you don't like the party, they weren't speaking to, look, the Democratic Socialists won in New York. They could have won in Minneapolis. And let's look at New York, because this is emblematic of what they continue to do. You have someone, you might not have liked Kamala, but that's who you had. Then put everything you can behind her and make her work. Don't restrict the Palestinians so the Arab American community walks away from Chicago feeling some kind of way.
Exactly. And
you need to lift up some poor folks so they're feeling empowered and feeling some kind of way. Terry, that is not what happened. And we saw it with Zoran Mamdani. We saw that in New York. This man has excited the whole nation, and no Democrat would touch him. Trump met with him first.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, and not only that, but Trump, after that meeting, Trump is like looking adoringly at him and saying, "Oh, I'm going to work with him," and blah blah blah, which of course we know is not true. But the point is, Trump is saying that. What is the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, saying? Well, he's not going to raise taxes on millionaires. That wouldn't work, and billionaires.
Wait a minute. We don't know that Trump will work with him because he's transactional, and his numbers are tanking.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, right.
Let me tell you something. Politics is strange. You don't know what anybody's going to do, because he might do it to jam everybody else.
Right. Yeah, you never know. He
jammed Hakeem Jeffries in his own backyard, and Chuck Schumer. He met with Mary-elect Mamdani before they did.
Yeah. Yes.
How do you let that happen?
Exactly.
I mean,
well, yeah.
That's why we're looking at this. Y'all, look, Mark, what did you say? Go to what's the website?
Yeah. DemocraticAutopsy.org.
That's
it's DemocraticAutopsy.org.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, Santita, since I'm helping you, if I'm helping you tonight, do you if you like, I can, for those watching, I can put it up on this, put those 5 points on the screen.
Put it up there.
I'm gonna do this. But go ahead, Terry. You finish with you, so I'm just gonna put this on the screen.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I mean, honestly, the reason I joined the Democratic Socialists of America is really because of the pandemic. It was during the pandemic, and I was living in Portland and made a lot of friends in the Elizabeth Warren campaign. And after she drops out, we stuck together. We stayed together. We wanted to do some more things, maybe at the local level. And I said on one of these Zoom calls that we had, I said, it's just astonishing to me how capitalism is just broken at this point. And my friend Jen said, Terry, the other way to think of it is that capitalism is performing exactly as it's designed to perform. And I'm like noodling on that for weeks. And I really understood that, in fact, that is what I had been seeing since the 1990s, and watching the law change and watching corporations decide that they're only going to be for one class of people, the shareholders. They're going to maximize profits. They're going to squeeze everybody else, destroy the environment, stop contributing to local community things, stop being a good corporate citizen, making crappier products to screw your, cut corners for your customers, and of course squeeze your employees and kill the unions and all the rest of it. That actually is what has been happening for 30 or 40 years. And and that is the logic of this untrammeled capitalism that we have right now, that we have had since the 1980s. And so I thought, this is.
Should Democrats be speaking to that? Do you think, Mary?
I think they absolutely should. And I think that if they did, they would have a lot of baby boomers and a lot of Gen Z parents of young of young adults. My daughter is 35. Her husband is 35 years old. They've just seen their health insurance go up to $1,400 per month for disaster coverage only. Their deductible, their annual deductible is $15,000. That's what they can afford now because, and they were told by Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's where they're getting their insurance from. And they were told that the reason it's going up that much is because with all the other health insurance companies exploding the premiums, healthy people are dropping out of the system.
That's not true. You know what it is? I had Dr. Anna Malino from the National Single Payer Organization. She is with the Physicians for a National Health Program. Do you realize that after they instituted ACA, that the cost of insurance went up 60%? It is charted to go up, and it was charged to go up another 18%. This is almost a 100% jump. They need to be put out of business.
Yes.
You need a universal single payer system. You got to take the profit out of this. And if they don't speak to this,
yes,
let me tell you, there will be another entity that is going to do it. Remember, the Republican Party was a third party at one time.
That's true.
They were the abolitionists. They were the abolitionist party.
That's right.
The Whigs.
So, I mean, we keep acting as if, I'll bring this up, Mark. We keep acting as if, oh, okay.
You see it?
We keep acting as if this is something that we keep acting as if this is something new in our politics. I mean, because we have so many people standing in the way, if you will, right? The progress is going to happen. I used to hear Dick Gregory talk about this, and heaven knows I didn't understand him at the time. Dick Gregory was way out there. I was a little child. And he said of his wife, Miss Lillian, he said, look, the baby's coming. Because, you know, they had 10 children.
Lord have mercy.
He said, I can hold her legs. I can try to hold them shut. He said, believe me, that baby's coming out. It's coming. And I was like, oh, this sounds awful. But guess what? The baby's coming. Zoran is already here. Omar Fateh is here. These are people under 40. Livonia,
but
they
I'm
have already gone down the street.
But and you're right on point. But there's a whole nother group of people that health insurance is critical to their everyday life, and it is costing more and more money. It's the seniors. That whole baby boomer group of people, they too, like babies are coming and boomers are here. You put them together, and the cost of just living and staying healthy. We're not even talking about being preventive. We're just talking about just being healthy, being cared for is astronomical. Then when you talk about the gift that we are given to live longer based on statistics, it costs more every day that you live. That is quite expensive. And then you have 3 and 4 generations responsible for one another. So you have the babies coming, that's the grandchild. Then you have the kids who are your children, and then you have mom and dad that you're taking care of too.
But wait a minute, when you have one of the authors of ACA, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, who said that you don't need life-saving care after 75 because your life ought to be done. Remember that? He said he was. So you're dealing with people who have a different view of life and living.
Have a different view of life for you or me, but not for themselves.
Okay, because I know Harry, Meghan, and Wills and Catherine say that we need to limit how many children are here. Oh, okay. All right. So
I mean, we have someone who's the leader of the free world said that our grandchildren, I have to say, our children and our grandchildren should only get, I'm just saying, just so we can get some perspective on this, 3 dials and 4 pencils. That's the concept. So that
and
means,
wait a minute, and the people I just mentioned said that we are overpopulated. There are too many people.
yes,
You
that's the
got people
same
whose
group of
thinking is
people.
off.
But those are the same group of people. I want people to hear me. Those are
Mhm.
the same group of people who are our neighbors and voted the other way. Don't make a mistake that these people do not exist in America. The numbers are staggering. If we don't remember that the people, that there are thousands who really believe that they don't have to be corporate folk. They are our neighbors that believe that you only need to have 3 dials, 2 pencils, and so you don't need health care after 65. And so the baby comes here, you better take care of them on your own. Give
And
them
that
just some
you
basic
don't
milk.
deserve, and that her health care is still something you need to deserve. It's not something that is a human right.
That's
I
right.
listen to these shows. I listen to Washington Journal on C-SPAN every morning. And people feel that folks don't have health care because they're lazy, because they're shiftless. You know, wait until these premiums explode in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Mark, why don't you go through, because you pulled up this report, these
Yes.
5 reasons they said for Harris's failure. I think that she was failed by the party, but you know, I'm not saying that she didn't make some mistakes. We all do, but
Yeah.
why don't
Yeah,
you?
and I mean, and we've had it. Some of you all have heard since we've spoken, but this is important to look at. There are 5 points, and those of you who are watching us on the stream can see those on your screen. Voter disenfranchisement, or disenchantment, I should say, losing a whopping 6.8 million voters who supported Biden in 2020 proved pivotal in this entirely close election. Harris's inability to mobilize these pro-Biden voters may have been the campaign's biggest failure. And I do think that's a little unfair. I mean, how was she supposed to do that in 180 days?
Yeah.
107 days, rather. Biden's betrayal, former President Biden's disastrous decision. See, this is what I think should be number one, because that's what boxed us in the 107 days, Livonia and Terry. I mean, to do what she did,
Yes.
what do you in 107 days? How do you decide
Yes.
what to prioritize?
Yes.
Right.
So him decision to run for re-election, and I'm not trying to be ageist or mean, but you got to know that debate was disastrous, and folks were in denial. The first lady was running around saying Joe did so well. We were like, what were you looking
Wait
at?
a minute, but
Yeah.
let me insert carrot here. The reason it was disastrous was because it was the manifestation of all that we had feared for the previous 3.5 years.
Right.
Let's keep it 100, everybody. It became clear that what we saw, our eyes were no longer lying to us.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people said, you know what? I thought so.
Yeah.
Just have to be, if we can just be honest about that, because we saw the man struggling. Let me tell you something. I don't believe you throw the baby out with the bathwater. It is very difficult for me to understand my father now. And we have to be very patient, learn how to read him, because the Parkinson's has advanced to a point where it is hard for you to understand what he's saying. But I tell you, he does communicate.
Yes.
And if there is, we were having a discussion, you were with us, Mark, and I'm not going to go any further than this. We were talking about the record industry.
Ooh.
And he became so animated and engaged, he would throw out 1 or 2 words, and you were like, oh, because it was to prompt us, for those of us who remembered, that's right, Daddy. Ba, 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 ba. And then we would go on, and then he'd say something else. And we go, you know, you're right. Ba, 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 ba. He was connecting the dots for us.
Right.
See, I don't think you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think what he should have done, I don't think he should have served more than 4 years, but what he should have shown us is how to function when you're struggling. It would have given people so much hope. You say, you know what?
Right.
I have a disease. I'm going to give you all the best that I've got. I need all the help that I can. I've got my wife, I've got my children, I've got my grandchildren, I've got you. And I hope that I can give you something to go on, because some of you have been diagnosed with this, that, and the other. Right. And maybe by watching me try to make it through, maybe that will give you something give you something to fight for. Because see, I saw my father do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I've seen some other people just do it. And that's all you have to do is give people some hope. Just give it to them.
So would you think that with the Harris campaign, if President Biden had given her a little bit more of himself and said to the people, this is, I'm going to just say it as they would say on the street, my girl, my,
Yes.
yeah. If he had told the folk and in a fireside chat or wherever, this is the person that we embrace from the high to the low. And I need you all to please come out and do give a little bit more in those 100 and some days, because what she did in 100 days, it was like walking water.
You know what I think? I think he was
not in 107 days, Livonia. He should have done that in 365 days at least.
He should have. But you know what? He should have run a shadow campaign, a parallel campaign. See, at some point, this is your shot. You got 107 days. This is all you got. But you know what? I'm going to make this work. And you deploy your people to tell your story, just as her husband was deployed to assure people that the Mideast policy was not going to change. You deploy some other people, and then someone should have pressured Obama to apologize to Black men. That hurt her. And it hurt her that he did not think enough of her to go back and say, you guys, I'm sorry. Everybody rained down on Reverend in 2008 and said that he said something he did not say. He never said that he would cut this boy's anatomy off. And I said, this boy, I've known Barack more than 40 years. He never said that. He said, if he does not stop talking down to our people.
That's right.
They're going to do it. And that is what they did. And she paid the price for that. I'll add more to it before I take anything away. And that hurt her. Yeah, and you know what hurt her? Because Black men already had a problem with her. Let's keep it 100. She is not married to a Black man. That is offensive to many Black men. It should not be, because Black women are far less inclined to marry outside of our race than y'all are.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And he, meaning President Obama, the people in the community said they felt that he should have come out earlier and stronger in supporting her earlier.
Everything that he had,
but he didn't want her.
He should have gone like this to her.
Now, I mean, we're gonna do the autopsy.
What you say?
Yes, he wanted Stein Whitmer, and so to Biden's credit, Biden sabotaged it. This was the phone call that Sunday. Biden, you dropping out? We're gonna have a mini primary. Biden said, okay. He lied to him. I said,
he
okay.
Wanted Stein. He wanted Whitmer.
Stein Whitmer on a ticket. That was the ticket. Stein Whitmer. That's who Obama wanted.
Which Stein?
Jill Stein?
No, not Stein. No, I'm sorry, not Stein.
Josh Shapiro.
Shapiro. I'm sorry. Shapiro.
Oh, Shapiro. That was never going to work.
I'm thinking another Josh. Another Josh Stein. That's in North Carolina. Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer. Yeah, that was the ticket.
Yeah.
And the deal that was cut that Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Biden, you dropping out. We're gonna do a mini primary and set these people up. Biden Biden went all the way gone. He said, all right, I got you. He lied.
Yeah.
And said, okay. And then tweeted, psych, I'm endorsing Kamala Harris.
Yes, he did do that. But and Shapiro wasn't gonna work.
What?
Shapiro gave speech. I get it and all of that. But Shapiro,
well, he's the Obama clone. They call him the Jewish Obama. He taught his cadence.
But that's great. But you know what? His comments about Palestinians were going to jam him.
Oh, I know. It wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have gone anywhere either.
And I'm just saying he would need time to work that through, because he has also not been on the side of those student protesters. That was going to bite him.
He helped in the firing of the president of UPenn because of the protests. And so the other scuttlebutt is, we're going to do the whole autopsy.
Wait a minute, don't you think that would have been a problem for him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But if we're going to do a total autopsy,
yes,
it was the Shapiros and the Whitmers and others who really didn't step up for the Democratic nominee.
Because he has come after Kamala now, saying that she was being disingenuous. I said, wait a minute, Josh. Come on, sugar. You're not being honest about the baggage you are carrying. Stop it.
Mhm.
I'm
Well,
tired of these people beating up on her.
it also did not serve them if she had won, because they would have had to wait 8 years to run for president.
Well, guess what? She
Right.
still had 6,000.
You with me?
She still has 6,000 people here in Chicago. So
So you don't mobilize
somebody
Pennsylvania,
throwing
and
her
you don't
under the bus.
mobilize Michigan the way you should, Livonia,
That's
Mhm.
true. That's correct.
because you want to run in 28.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
Now that's a
again,
fact.
you are not going to roll over Kamala Harris and just install Gretchen Whitmer. That was not going to work.
No,
You're not just going to
because then you lose.
install.
Then you lose every black woman in the country. You're not going to win.
No question about it.
Exactly.
I mean, just
In Michigan, we
unthinkable.
said that was not going to happen. We just said that is not an option. That's what they said in the community. Not going to happen.
And guess what? And he would have lost the Arab vote.
Oh, yes.
Because of what happened, because of his comments that were infantilized, that were paternalistic, and they were quite frankly racist toward Palestinians. That's just
right.
real.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that he cannot evolve,
Right.
but wait a minute. It's like, stop. What are y'all talking about? That's why you need a primary so people can.
Yeah, that
Who
is.
knows? Josh Shapiro might have been able to work that out in the primary process. That's what the process does. It helps you. It's like being the agitator. You're not going to get clothes clean unless there's agitation.
Right.
You
Yeah.
got to have it.
Right.
So, well, I mean, so that's what's missing from the autopsy. Is that what you all are saying?
Well, those are some things, and then the other matters. Just quickly, the other points that were raised. That was Biden's betrayal. Second, number 3, abandoning the working class. I think we can all agree with that. Number 4, the Gaza effect. Now, I'm just going to say this: when October 7th happened, and those hostages were taken, you know what I saw? What I had deja vu?
Mm-hmm.
Iran in 1979.
79. Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember that, even though I wasn't born. But that was,
Oh God.
that was, that is what took Carter out.
Totally.
So there's a nexus now between Netanyahu, Trump, and Putin. So what the news wouldn't show over here were the Jewish families in Israel protesting outside Netanyahu's every house every night for not going to get their houses freed.
Yes.
Right.
But if you keep that going,
But let me tell you something.
Obama.
Don't put Putin in that, because Putin is supporting Maduro down in Venezuela. See, these things are.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
No, it's not crazy. It's consistent, because when you go to Africa, they have a completely and in the global South, they have a different relationship with Russia.
Right.
Well,
Right.
That's why Ukraine was not going to work.
Right.
Because if you go to the global South, they say he was protecting the integrity of his borders.
Right.
So, I mean, look, we have to look. Hey, look, I am Americans first. Okay. Let me put it that way. Because I got $40 billion going to Argentina. Folks are not able to eat. That's not going to work. I don't have a major party that's talking about that. I don't have a major party that is willing to talk about these food deserts. We still don't have a major party that is willing to talk about exploding premiums. 20 million, not people, families are not going to be able to have health care. And wait a minute. If your children, Terry, because that's your daughter and your son.
And my son-in-law, yeah.
Because that's your children, 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
If they have to spend $15,000
before
they can get any relief, you're broke.
A month. They're doing $1,700 a month, but with a $15,000 a year deductible. And they're healthy right now, So
what did you just say?
They're trying to call them middle class. That's what middle class is today, and that's an issue also. An issue is who is in the middle class today. Who is that?
That's right.
Who is it? No one.
No
middle
one.
class, like you just said, is $75,000. Now,
wait a minute, in Nashville.
In Nashville, think about that. $75,000 middle class in Nashville.
but that's living wage. That's not a middle class. That's not $400 for an emergency. That's not saving for retirement. That's not, saving for your down payment on a house or for your kids' education. So if middle class means you have the ability to own a home and send your kids to college and have some savings for your retirement, and in Nashville, it's actually more like $85,000 a year. Tennessee statewide, it's like $74,000, $75,000. But if you don't have those three things over and above what you need to be bringing in just to pay your monthly bills, you're not middle class, which means $85,000 a year in Nashville is not middle class. It's survival. That's a survival wage.
That's why I'm saying who feels that they're part of the middle class? When the Democrats and the Republicans or whomever is speaking to the people, who are they speaking to? Who do they see when they say middle class or affordability?
Lavonia, you're the messenger here. You do messaging. So they are talking in the wind.
That's right.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, y'all are talking to middle class people. No, who is your audience?
Who is your audience?
Mm-hmm.
Affordability. They use it and they throw that word around. Some people say, I can't afford my car note today, or I can't afford to buy all the groceries that I was buying for Christmas last year. That is a reality. So affordability is defined by the individual or the community or your zip code.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. And you know what I saw? Because I've become a TikTok fan on these recipes, which I love. Yes, I do, everybody. I love that. Yes, I do. Because I love the Food Network. I love all that. Shut up, Mark. Be quiet. I love that. I love it. Just, I knew he was going to say something that was going to be ridiculous. Before you get in trouble with the women, just shut up.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. I told you I got banned from TikTok anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm trying to stay on the air. Right?
Oh, dang.
But what happened here, having to notice that this year, no one was telling you how to make a turkey. They were showing you how to do turkey wings.
I did not see that.
I said nobody could afford a turkey. They could afford wings.
Right.
That's what it was.
So once again, what does affordability mean? Okay. Who are we speaking to? And how do we get to that point when you got to figure out at the end of the day, we're just talking about your family, Terry. I mean, we're talking about they're in their 30s. They're not even in their 40s with a child. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. No children. There's just the two of them.
And they're having a discussion about healthcare with their mother-in-law. Yeah. Right. I mean, so affordability to that family alone is different from Shanae's family. It really is.
Yes.
It really is.
But no one is talking about it. I mean, that's the thing. If the Democrats are not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Then who is going to talk about it? I mean, now everything's so upside down. The Republicans are at least speaking to the working class people, proudly so. Now, mind you, are they doing anything to help them? No. But wait a minute, the Democrats are not either. I mean, look, if
and Democrats don't have an answer or a strategy. And I've raised this in rooms with people, and people look at me and their eyes get big because they still don't believe he's going to do the things he's going to do. Mm-hmm. It's like people still in shock. He's not leaving. He's either going to put himself on back on the ballot, or he's not going to leave. I promise you.
Wait a minute.
Elie Mystal, the great legal scholar for the nation, predicts that at the very least, the red states are going to put him back on the ballot.
No, wait a minute. We are halfway toward having a constitutional convention. 19 states have already agreed to that.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what Elon Musk is doing in Texas with these two corporate towns.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Where they will have a board of directors who run the town. When President Trump said you won't need an election anymore, that is not coming from him. That is coming from Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Mm-hmm. They don't think the people need to vote. They are. Peter Thiel is the old man of the group. He's in his mid-50s. Everybody else, these are all kids. This is who. Y'all get off Trump. Please stop mentioning his name. Richard J. Daley, the boss mayor, taught us you do never call the name of your opponent.
You're right.
All you do is blow him up. Just stop it. Because guess what? It's like Dorothy when she was about to go home before she clicked in the times. She pulled back that curtain and saw the whiz and went, "Wait a minute, is this it? Are you for real?"
Is this
Right.
He said, "Yeah, yeah, you're the one who had the power all the time. People, y'all got the power. You can do it,
Well, I
but
think
you
there's
need to
going to be
understand
more
who
of
you're
a
fighting."
constitutional revolution. That's really what I see. That's going to take place. And the opponent is now bigger than any. Like you're saying it right, Santita. It's more than one person. It's not even about the parties. It is about a
Up, down.
up
It's not
and down.
right.
It's
Yeah,
about
that's
corporate
right.
dollars, the folk, and we don't even know who they. I don't know who they are. There's a whole nother group of people who are managing the world.
Girl, wait a
See,
minute. I had a conversation with a bot on the phone. And as I was talking, I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Let me just play with this thing right here." Because I know this is not a person. And I kept saying, "I want to speak with a human being. Do you want
yes,
to speak with me? Why don't you want to speak with I cannot even replay the story because this conversation was so bizarre. I said, "If you don't give me a human being, I'm going to hang up."
yes, yes,
"What do you mean?
yes.
What, you don't want to talk to me?" Of course. Can you
A
tell
box,
me, are you a human being? Why don't you want to talk to me?
box.
I said, "Look, bot." I said, "Look, bot, don't play with me." And there was a hole. And then a person came on and they were so exasperated. They were like, "Oh, well," I said, "Wait a minute. That's what we're dealing with right now because these people
That's
are
true.
replacing, these government workers were replaced with bots.
That's outrage.
That's
Yeah.
where these data
Right.
centers are coming from."
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No. I mean, and wait a
Right.
minute. If the Democrats, Mark,
Yep.
if they're not going to speak to this,
Hmm.
who's going to do it?
We will. We have those of us here and those of us listening now, those
Yeah.
of us watching.
Yes.
We've got to be the voices and maintain the enthusiasm we had when we won the election in New York and Virginia and New Jersey. Let's be honest about our culture too. The culture of Democrats / liberals, progressive voters. We can despair, and we can, sometimes that's why we don't show up to vote. That debate was so demoralizing. I'm sure that affected everybody's spirit.
Oh, it did.
So,
Yeah.
but then when we come back like we did on this past few Tuesdays ago,
Mm-hmm.
we also have a tendency, we have a moment of euphoria, and then we feel like we don't have to do anything else. Folks, we have to remind ourselves, politics is 365 days a year.
Yeah.
We've got to treat it that way. Maintain the enthusiasm. Now, we did it with Afton Bain. That was a victory, even though it wasn't a victory. Reverend Jackson won, even though he didn't win. Afton Bain won, even though she didn't win. You understand? So we have to continue that enthusiasm. Those of you under the sound of our voices, continue to organize, continue to support the right candidates and the progressive candidates. That's what we must do. And if we do that, we will continue to win. We're on track if we can maintain that approach to win the midterms. Now, what we've got to stop doing, again, what the autopsy doesn't mention, stop downplaying suppression. See, they do projection. He says that there's tampering. We don't do the tampering, they do.
Yeah.
That's all we did. They did it in 2000.
That's
They
right.
did it in 2016.
That's right.
And they did it again. We have suits have been filed in several states. They don't get any press about some of the tampering in some of these states. That's why I got banned from TikTok for covering that. But so the point I'm making is that's who's going to answer your question, Santita. That's who's going to make the difference. We are the ones, and not just us, not just the four of us, but when you vote, you're making a statement. When you're knocking on doors, you're making a statement. When you're organizing, you're making a statement. Let's not give up and let's see this through.
Well, you know what? I think that I don't want anyone to walk away from this conversation feeling hopeless.
No.
Oh, no.
I think you should be filled with hope.
That's
What
right.
we're trying to do, when you talk about an autopsy, what we're saying is the model that we had needs to be put to rest. It needs to be put into political heaven, or wherever, purgatory, or wherever it's supposed to go, because it did not work.
That's right. Yes.
You
Right,
know
and the
what?
thing about it, you got to have hope, and I want to. We have some examples. I mean, and Mark has said what we need to do. Your lifestyle depends on politics. Politics depends on your lifestyle. I mean, it goes hand in hand. Your lifestyle is impacted, everyone's mind, on how you participate as a civic citizen. That is a fact. So it has to be every day, all day, regardless of race, creed, or age. Then, like you said, Santita, we have great New York. And I must say, Michigan, when we got a sister who is not even 50, who became mayor, first female
Right.
mayor, first Black female mayor, Mary
In Detroit.
Shedfield in Detroit. Talk about
Mhm.
hope. And I'm talking about her campaign because her dad used the formula, I'm going to just say it out loud, of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Boots on the ground every
right.
single day, knocking on the door every single day, talking to the people, regardless of race, creed, or color, and in their house, having tea, having coffee, filling out autographs, writing letters, there, being present, and speaking to the people about what is going on in your zip code. Not just your community, but in your zip code and what's going on in your house. How do
That's right.
you feel? What do I need to do? What can I do for you? So you got to ask the right question to get the right answer.
Uh-huh.
You got to
Yeah.
speak to the people. You got to speak to them, and they got to hear you. Messaging is not one way. Messaging is giving a message, and people receive it and respond back. So there is hope, and there are examples of hope. I mean, when I saw New York unfold that day when he was elected, when I saw Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, it was a celebration. But
Wait a minute. And Indiana,
stop.
hold on. Look at what the Republican legislators did in Indiana.
Right.
They pushed back
Yes.
On the redistricting.
They said we will not be bullied. I'm going to talk with Indiana State Representative Reagan Hatcher tomorrow.
Yes.
In fact, Reagan is the daughter of the first Black mayor of Gary, Indiana. You should have her on your show, Reverend Mark Thompson. You should have her on. She's a state representative now. She's an attorney, and just she and her sisters are all attorneys. It's a fantastic family. And when she talks about these people who said, wait a minute, we will not be bullied. And when you look at, she said, no. Some of these state senators, their children and their grandchildren received threatening or menacing texts. And they said, no. See, and that's why I'm saying we have to kind of go beyond this partisanship.
Yes.
I'm going to stay on principle always, but I got to look at Mike Pence, my brother.
I was going to say that. Mike Pence.
Because Mike Pence, they remember they had a noose in front of the Capitol and they were literally looking for him. Don't you remember the video of them trying to move him around? Because these people, they didn't know where the threat was coming from. And he stood 10 toes down and said, I am not changing my vote. I will not subvert the country. We're going to stay right. We're going to stay on course. I got Thomas Massey, who's saying, wait a minute, where are the files? Who's influencing our government? I've got Tim Burchett down in Tennessee who's saying, wait a minute, dual citizenship? No. If you're dual citizenship and you hold elective office, you need to disclose that in 90 days, because I need to know who you're working for. Now, wait a minute. I've got Marjorie Taylor Greene who said, wait a minute, my children's healthcare premiums are exploding. Y'all can't do this.
And you threatened my son.
And you threatened my son. And you know what? And you threatened all these girls. I want to know, y'all need to release these files. And wait a minute, who was he working for anyway? Hey, wait a minute. At some point, you give credit where credit is due.
That's true.
Because let me tell you something. It's one thing to be on the outside of something. It's another thing to go in, Terry, and go, wait a minute. This is not what I thought this was.
Right.
But I tell you that we had to walk out on that stage in 1984 at that Democratic convention, having been so disrespected. We got to it. We got to San Francisco with Reverend having run this historic campaign. These people put Ferraro up so that they would not put him on the ticket. No one expected him to be alive, let alone fit third. We got to our hotel. They knew that this was going to be our home hotel. Do you know that our hotel was not ready?
No rooms.
No. My mother went completely ballistic in the lobby. She said, I have been treated like the N-word from coast to coast. You're not going to do this to me. And she said, and I'm glad I got here before my husband did, because I'm not going to let you do this to him. I won't let you do it. And we still walked out on that stage having been disrespected. Oh my gosh. And we had to wave. My mother refused to go on the stage that night. She refused. And my father looked at Jesse, Johnny, and I. He said, baby, please, babies, y'all, don't let me go up. Don't make daddy go up here by himself, please. He was so tired. And I had to bite my lip to try and not cry. And I looked at my mother, because we never went between our parents. And I looked at my mom and said, Mom, please let me go with Daddy. And she raised her hand. She said, but I'm not going on principle. You go be with Daddy. Hey, wait a minute, y'all. I have the insults. We've taken them all.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, you've got to have an insult. But we took the insults because Reverend said, if I don't make it, the door will be closed to you all for maybe 50 years. I can't take the risk. I'll take the hits. I heard Mike Tyson say, I take the hits so my children won't have to.
Right. Wow. And Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I must say back to Reverend Mark Thompson, Mayor Marion Barry.
Who doesn't remember the campaign?
Right. That I was in DC.
I said I remembered. I was there. I just wasn't born yet.
Yeah, right. Mayor Marion Barry in Washington, D.C. did a very similar thing. He took the hit for all of us with all his scars and injuries personally. He made sure that we were embraced. I was just telling Santita earlier that there are thousands of us who look like me and you and Terry and women would not have been involved at the level we were in politics or policy making or go to the White House or anywhere if it wasn't for Reverend Jackson. That's a fact.
Wait a minute.
I ain't making it up. It's a fact. And Marion Barry.
Because Chicago was hostile to us. Now, that's the other story. I'll tell y'all, because I'm writing this stuff. Marion Barry said, I understand how this government works. I've got resources in Washington. Don't worry about Chicago. Come to D.C. And he turned over Anita Bonds, Ivanhoe Donaldson, his top, no, I remember. His top staffers, Terry O'Neill. I mean, his inner circle. He turned over his inner circle.
That's right.
To Reverend and said, y'all, let's build this campaign.
Wow.
Talk to me about Marion Barry.
Yeah. That's right.
Marion, and you know what? Please don't ever talk to me about him and his faults. He is a human being just like we all are. We all have faults.
Baby.
And what he did with his pain to make us powerful, you need to be grateful to it. Because instead of falling down and saying, well, you know what? I didn't get this as a child. I didn't get that. And I'm not saying that that's not real, because it is. With all the pain that he felt, and knowing that he was in the crosshairs of the government, knowing that he had his own challenges, knowing that he was being surveilled every step of the way, he never stopped being a bold advocate for the people, which is why when he died, he had a state funeral that was a people's funeral.
That's right.
That's right.
So don't come to me about him and his faults. He ain't got no faults as far as I'm concerned. I fault people who give me a healthcare system that does not work for me.
Yeah.
Every time Dwight McKee did this show, and the last few months of his life, he was on his stomach. And the same thing that took him out could have taken my father out. But my father has excellent health care and an unstoppable will to live.
He sure does.
So I'm just saying, wait a minute, y'all, hold it.
Right.
If this party is not going to speak to those issues, it's going to speak to these, it's going to speak for us, oh, cut us in or cut us out.
That's right. That's right.
You've got more than 100 million people are looking at death if they don't have health insurance.
That's
What are
right.
you talking about? I got Bill Gates telling me that I got another bug coming. I got Fauci saying it. Are you for real? And no one's going to have any health care? Or they're going to, and let's be very clear, health care is at least bifurcated, if not trifurcated.
That's right. And that's not just healthcare. People sometimes make them say, well, it's just they focus in on the young folk. I want to go back to that. There's a whole group of people in their 50s and up who have higher healthcare dollars needed than even as infants. It is really astronomical when you talk about healthcare for senior citizens. People wouldn't believe it unless you had someone living in your home and you get the bill.
But you know what? When you have someone writing ACA who says that after 75 you don't need life-saving care.
That's right.
There's a flaw in that thinking.
It really is. Very much so.
And there's a term for that now that's been coined. It's called necropolitics, NECRO. Necropolitics. That's the politics of who lives and who dies. And so that's what we're dealing with, and it is absolutely frightening. Now I'm gonna say this too, though. I'm gonna say this too. The autopsy of 24 is one thing, but let's do the autopsy after these elections in 25. Just days later, on a Tuesday, we win New Jersey, Virginia, New York, and others. And well, let me just say this too. Watch this, Santita. This is very important. Just give me a minute because I need this. I need to get this in terms of looking at everything. And this is why we should have hope. Let me tell you what you all did. Those of you, all of us in the electorate. 2008 and 2012, this was true. Democrats who voted didn't bother to vote down ballot at all. They only voted for the top of the ticket, and that was Obama. In 2025, what we just saw this past November 5th or 6th, whatever it was, you had people voting for the Water Commission, the Utilities Commission in Georgia. Nobody cared about that anymore. But people did that because utility bills were so high, right? So that shows that we have changed. We have evolved. Every line on that ballot counts. All right. So that's very important to understand. But then what happened a few days later? You had 8 Democrats remove ACA from the negotiating table to reopen the government.
Right.
Yes.
On the heels of that. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Now, this also shows you the maturity and political sophistication. We all, in the masses, we all have seen them do that before. But this was also the first time you had en masse people saying, wait a minute, no, that's crazy. People were angered, especially after enthusiasm of Tuesday.
Yes.
So I think that also gives us hope that people are more sophisticated, more aware.
Yes.
And they want that type of foolishness out of politics. How are you going to be Democrats and go cut a deal like that? And look where we are right now. We can't get discouraged. We have to vote to get those Democrats who have sold us out in those ways gone.
Yes.
That's the only alternative.
No, but see, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, number one, there's everything right with that. People will vote their interest.
That's right.
And if people are interested, that's why I'm saying we Democrats did not win anything. People won. People were not voting for a party. They were voting for Mamdani, who they thought was going to work for them. New Jersey, Virginia, these were about the people. The people wanted their voices to be heard. They are not if people think that folks are voting for parties, that you are out of your mind. That ain't what's happening on the ground here. People want to hear you, and they will say, that's why, wait a minute, don't sleep. Don't sleep on Marjorie Taylor Greene or Thomas Massey. Don't do that. You make a mistake.
No, that was powerful.
They're saying too many
for those
things.
people to do what they did, that's potent.
And wait a minute, and if you start listening to them, because I don't know what information she's getting and what she's seeing.
That's right.
It happens to all of us. We can all evolve.
That's right.
I can absolutely be wrong. But I know enough Democrats who have betrayed us for me to go, look, you know what? I need someone who's going to make some sense. And if I can work with you a la carte, issue by issue, yes, that meal more expensive. Yeah. I really do like a value meal. But the value meal has to be something I value. It has to reflect my values. We have to get real about what the problems that we're dealing with. Terry, your children's deductible is $15,000.
Exactly.
Who can afford that?
$15,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's blue chip insurance. Blue Cross Blue
It's
Shield.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah.
That's the best. That's blue chip. That's the best.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me that's the best that they can do? I mean, Mark, come on.
That's what they're willing to do. Yeah.
Nobody can afford that.
No, that's exactly right. And I think what Mark says is 100%. I think that young people, younger voters are beginning to see that there is a reason that now we can primary the Democrats who don't get it. That Mamdani, and I think he's a really good example of someone who stood up to the bullying, to the outrageous machinations of Schumer and Jeffries and Cuomo, and he beat them all. And I think that's incredibly.
Gary, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Stay right there because you're making a point.
Yeah.
Because no one took umbrage with Cuomo forming an alliance with Trump.
Exactly.
I mean, wait a minute. So he can do that?
Well, New Yorkers did. That's why he lost.
No. But I'm just saying the corporate media.
Oh yeah.
Lightly touched upon that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, New Yorkers threw all of that out, and that's what really matters. But look at what they're doing with Rahm Emanuel. They keep trying. I mean, this is someone who oversaw the murder of a child
and the cover up of the murder of that child.
Well, now excuse me.
Yeah,
it's a both and that should be a non-starter. What is it about him? So that shows you a society he does not feel any shame or remorse, and is not discreet about feeling that he deserves to run for president. You will not be. No, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Period.
But
it's
wait
just
a
not going
minute.
to happen. That is a non-starter.
They gave him one of the most prestigious diplomatic posts. I mean, Japan ambassador to Japan. They just keep. I'm like, wait a minute, and then you want to start a conversation with me about Marion Barry about his faults?
Right. Yeah.
Marion Barry hurt no one. Marion Barry hurt himself because he was insane.
Right. But he didn't hurt anyone else.
All he ever did was help someone else.
Ask the people.
That's
the
all
voters.
he ever did. SYEP, Summer Youth Employment Program. Hey, Yusuf got a job. My brother got a job. Everyone, I think, from 13 to 21.
That's true. Marion Barry's Leadership Institute. Period. He created that, and it became a sample. Was sampled all over the country by other mayors. That was in D.C. Mayor Marion Barry.
BET.
Right.
An entrepreneurial class. I mean, wait a minute. What? No. Y'all, wait a minute. And so I think part of this autopsy, because, as we're looking at the conclusions, Terry and Mark and Livonia, we have to start making some demands. Because, see, this is not about what they did. This is about what we want. Because the tail does not wag the dog. The dog's got to wag the tail. Because to me, it was nothing but hubris for the Democratic Party to say, well, I'm not going to endorse him. That's what they did that is what they did to Omar Fateh up in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But because he is darker and blacker, no one wants to talk about that. Hey, that's what happened here.
And not only do we need to ask the demands, we need to ask them on the front end. We need to come into the room and sit at the table with the demands in hand. We need to understand that we have talked to our community leaders and our community, the folk in our zip codes, whatever, and come to the table and say, kabang, this is what we would like. And, oh, by the way, you want our vote? Then this is how we have a conversation. We need to have a conversation with demands on the table and the potential votes on the table and dollars and cents, because there's money going to be in there somewhere. That's what needs to be on the table.
Well, how do we reform the party, or do we need another one?
So, as a veteran of trying to build another party, um, it is something, and Lisa Mitchell was involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to build the Emoji Party in Washington D.C. It's the most recent ballot status political party. Lisa and her family built the Emoji Party in Maryland. We have a two-party system in this country that culturally people they have a hard time letting go of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so what we had not learned how to do, and what the Democratic Socialists in New York have learned how to do, and in other states, is exist kind of as a parallel to the Democratic Party. So it's kind of a progressive wing. Maybe that's something that we can do. But we have the Democratic Socialists. So if we align with them, as Terry has done
Yeah.
already, um, then I think that's what we can. We don't necessarily have to form another party. Um, the
But
other
let me
thing,
ask you this: is that generational, Mark?
yeah, I think it
Because
is. It is generational. It is. It
because
certainly
I'm
is.
wondering if I don't think the kids are locked into this binary system. I
No,
mean,
no, no.
you saw that in New York, right?
Right. No, no, they aren't. But
But
what's also generational is once you get into it, the system is set up in such a way to put different parties, like most countries have a multi-party democracy, not even three or two. It's a multi-party democracy. The challenge is elections are still run state by state, and each state has its own laws and idiosyncrasies to allowing a new party on the ballot.
Right.
And
Right.
so it would take a decade. If we started today,
Yeah.
it would take us probably a decade to 20 years
Yeah.
to get a full party. And I'm not saying that to discourage people. I want to say something to encourage people.
Okay.
On my show a few weeks ago, a guy called in to complain. He said the problem with the Democratic Party is that it's too big of a tent. We can't solve problems. We can't fix anything in the Democratic Party because there's so many different constituencies. Well, it is a big tent. The other party represents one constituency. The Democratic Party represents 10 or 12. But we saw this November in that first Tuesday in November that diversity and that big tent actually can work.
Mhm.
The Democrats, and you're right, Santita, people voted for persons more than party,
Mhm.
but they still were affiliated with a party. They
Mhm.
voted for persons within a party. One who was very charismatic, who was a Democratic Socialist, and two governors who represented the opposite, very low key, very moderate, because the
Right.
consultants told them to be that way.
That's
Now, if we can do that in this country all the same night, we aren't that as different as we think we are. That's good. That tells us something. Because here's the other thing: if we want everybody to feel that they can represent their community, even though some of you are under the sound of our voices, some of y'all need to run for something. Some of you all need to get ready to position yourselves so you can help the very communities you're in. We can't recruit people and encourage people if we want everybody to fit the type in central casting. Everybody can't talk like Obama. Everybody can't be that way. And so, yes, a Mikey Sherrill should run, and a Abigail Spanberg and other people, and the charismatics like a Mamdani. So
Mhm.
I think there's room for that. And if simultaneously it evolves that we want to expand the Democratic Socialists or some other strain, what's wrong? Why not have a women's party run parallel as the DSA does, or a
Right.
black political party or an LGBT run in a parallel fashion that may still caucus with the Democrats?
yeah,
There are a couple of Republicans.
but
If
but
the
but
if
Mark,
the Republicans lose the Senate, they're going to caucus. They're going to
but
caucus. They're
Mark,
going to
that's
go
all I'm
independent
talking
caucus
about.
with the Democrats.
But Mark, to your point, that's all that I'm talking about, because I
Right.
think that's where these young kids are going. They are not. They are leaving these parties. I'm telling you, if you look at Turning Point USA, if you look at how they were questioning Eric Trump, Vice President Vance on the Middle East policy, on how candidates are being funded, who's really running America. And this is on the right. And quite frankly, people are far more fluid because some of these podcasters, I mean, Elizabeth Warren was a Republican, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with that because she saw something and went, you know what? I appreciate her intellectual curiosity and her willingness to say, you know what? No. Y'all don't have this right.
Right.
I like people who get out the box that way. I really, really do. That having been said, I'm just wondering if we're not already there, Mark. I mean, Terry, Livonia, because when I look at I'm talking about these young people, the people Mark's age. I mean, very, very young people.
Right. I think we the last election showed us that we're close to. I mean, both Mary and Mandani are under 50. Period.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. They are. So that group of people, they were looking at individuals, even though they might have registered as a Democrat and or a Republican. They were looking at the individuals that they wanted to, who were speaking their truth. What I really want to drill down on is that, in my experience in and around the country, sometimes there's too many people in the particular race that there should be one Terry running with her. So if we want Terry to win, see, it's all about winning for me. If we want her to win, we need to know what ingredients and what things we need to do to have her win. We need votes. We need individuals who are volunteers, and we need money and dinner for the volunteers. My point is, you need to know what it takes to win. Period. Whoever you just decide to support. And then you must carry that task out to the very bitter end. That's how we were taught. That's what wins. So sometimes that overrides the party. And that's what we saw in November. Those individuals were speaking to the people. These were folk that were not on their last name wasn't Rockefeller or Trump or Bush or Johnson or Obama. Their last names were not that at all. These are individuals who were just born, basically, and who decided to get involved and said, I'm going to go and speak to my people, my age, and I'm going to speak to my dad's people and my mom's people. And because the issues that they were speaking to were about life and death, survival, how to survive in America. And that's what regardless if they were 30 years old or 50 years old or 60 years old, they were speaking to how to survive. That's the nucleus of how they were successful.
But I mean, don't you think, Livonia, that's where we are now, right? I mean, what happened in
we are there, and we have to maintain. It goes back to what you said, Reverend. Just because we're there in November doesn't mean that we're there in December.
What happened with Mary Sheffield? What did Mary Sheffield? What sparked her to run, and what made the difference in her campaign? Livonia.
What made the difference in her campaign? Her message was to the individuals, young folk and older. Her people who called out to her and who loved her were seniors. Just like this is actually true. Marion Barry. The people who loved him dearly were senior citizens.
Oh, yeah.
He spoke to them. He understood them. He made sure that they were taken care of. I'm not saying that he went and gave there was a car and a house in every, driveway, but he listened to their needs and tried to take care of their needs. She, on the front end, before she ran in her campaign, says, I will do all that I can for you. And she didn't just say it that way. She knew what they wanted because she spoke to them. She heard them and repeated what the seniors said they needed. She repeated it. And then she had people on the ground. I mean, literally, there were folk on the ground, not one day. And one other thing, what was the difference? Mary Sheffield started running 5 years ago.
Okay.
5 years ago.
What do you
She
mean?
started.
What did
What
she
I
do?
mean that she decided along the way, she was a city council person. Along the way, she decided, this is where I want to go. I'm gonna stay in my box and do what I can as the president of city council. So she made a commitment to the community. She didn't just say, oh, I guess I'll run for office tomorrow. No, it was a plan of action. It was carrying. It's always said it's like sports. LeBron James, he's been playing ball and practicing for forever. But he doesn't stop practicing now because he is LeBron James. He has to compete. Reverend Mark Thompson's friends. You know what I mean? He has to still compete. That means he has to still produce and do what he does best. And that's what Mary did every day. She was on the city council for 12 years. And for 12 years, she spoke to the issues. She was the only one out of all this time that put together a task force on reparations. Who does that? That's what she did. Mm-hmm. And it could have cost her, not in the white community, in the Black community votes, because we still are not there, unfortunately, we meaning Black people, in terms of how we want to fashion and how we want to receive reparations. She put it on the ballot. And 70% of the people voted for reparations to be on the ballot, and she created a task force, not as Mary-elect, but as city council. So she was doing the work prior to running. Okay. So you asked the question, what was she doing before? I always say to folks, ask the person who is running for office, what have you been doing? What were you doing before you got the title? And what do you plan to do? You got to find out what they were doing before they showed up. Before they showed up, decide they were going to run for office. What were they doing? I mean, it could be just they were passing out food at the church. That's all right. But you got to find out what they were doing prior to. And so she did that. And reparations was major here in the city. This was not something that was received well. But 70% of the citizens, not the leadership, citizens say, we want that on the ballot and we want a task force.
Well, John Holloman makes a point. The D.C. was vibrant for the Black community under Mayor Berry. Now it's a gentrified hogwash. And he fought very hard to make Washington the people's capital. He worked very hard. You know that, Livonia, you were living there. Mark, you've lived there. I've lived there. Mm-hmm. He worked very hard. He saw where the Washington that you see today is the brainchild of Marion Barry. The difference is he was going to have Black people in it and working people in it. He wanted them to enjoy the bounty of Washington. See, I don't mind the city looking fabulous. I just think the poor people should live in it too. I mean, I think we have to begin to change our thinking, Livonia, Reverend Mark Thompson, about what it is that we deserve. Because I think that the reason we don't have health care is because too many people, we don't have a universal single payer system because too many of us feel that we don't deserve it. If you feel that someone else doesn't deserve it, that means somewhere deep down inside, you feel that you don't deserve it too. Mm-hmm. And until that changes, nothing will change. Until you're concerned about everybody being hungry, hunger will never be eradicated. Until you feel that some people just got cut a bad break, a raw deal. Some people have had a broken spirit and have had a broken heart. That means poverty and tough times come at people all kinds of ways. Keep on living, as my parents used to say. Keep on living. So I think at this time, as we are looking, I've got about 10 minutes left here. I want you all to help us to wrap things up and just where, God bless you, how we're supposed to move forward. Because we brought up some names. I saw Coleman Young in here because Coleman Young did great things for Detroit. Great things. You had some people. It's interesting, Livonia and Reverend Mark Thompson, who does not remember any of these things, but he was around. Nietrick. These are people who came up from the ground.
Itty bitty Mississippi. Think about that. Itty bitty Mississippi, Marion Barry.
And he and James Bevel were born and raised on the same plantation. He was born on a plantation and went from a plantation to the pinnacle of politics.
Yes.
Right, right, right.
But he kept the plantation with him always. He lived in Anacostia. He wanted to ride through Anacostia and let the people of Anacostia see the mayor. He did that. And I think that, I'm just saying, Mark, we're gonna have to grow up not just in our politics, but spiritually first. Look at what it is that who we really want to be as a society as we're coming into this 250th year of our birth. I mean, as we're doing an autopsy on the Democratic Party, I think we need to do an autopsy on the Republic and on the democracy that we say that we want to be.
We must, but first and foremost, we should do an autopsy on ourselves, those of us who are responsible for this country. People should watch Ken Burns because he talks about.
What did you like about that?
Well,
the American Revolution?
Yeah, he is outspoken about the role that our enslaved ancestors played in that revolution, in the building of this country, and how our revolution has yet to be. So you mentioned Coleman Young and Marion Barry, and we're talking about Jesse Jackson, and see the Coleman Youngs and the Marion Barrys, and Gary Hatchers came along in that era when that meant something. It meant something to be a Black mayor and to deliver to these constituencies that had migrated from the South. And it was the good old-fashioned way, rooted in our first political institution, the Black church and the Black social gospel. Amen. Now, some of us got too bougie and highfalutin for that and went and did other things and thought that didn't matter. First thing we got to do as Black people is Sankofa. That is to go back and fetch it, to go back and remind ourselves. I'm heartened too. The silver lining in the attack on DEI and them not wanting people who look like us in the predominantly white institutions of PWIs is that more and more of the kids in my children's generation are going back to HBCUs. Never should have stopped. Got to get rooted. And as that happens, I think inevitably this next generation coming along will make that Sankofa journey and be reminded of the work that took place. It's not a coincidence that these major cities, Detroit, Washington, what Harold Washington did in Chicago, what Brandon Johnson is trying to do, it's like something has happened in these cities where being a mayor doesn't even matter that much anymore. Why? Because of the success of Black mayors and because of gentrification. And so what even Mary Sheffield just did, that's meaningful. And I hope and pray that she's able and allowed to do what Detroit needs to have done for it and can restore Detroit to the glory that existed when it had a Coleman Young and it mattered. And when we took care of each other, other folks take care of each other. What? They make sure, even when we had Black mayors, it was still Harold Washington was mayor, but other people didn't look like Harold Washington was still getting all those contracts, and they're still getting them today.
Well, first of all, it was about creating the great society and making things fair.
Right.
This was not about, wait a minute, I'm not into Black tyranny either. I'm talking about, wait a minute, when you go in there, you are supposed to create the beloved community. That should be your guide. You're supposed to model the great society and say, wait a minute, everybody, this is how this should be done. Marion Barry did not exclude anyone. What he did was include those who had been excluded.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
But we're talking about inclusion. I mean, we're talking about inclusion. Right. Includes. It's amazing. And you guys can speak to this. It's very seldom you hear African Americans talk about exclusion. We usually are on the tip of inclusion, regardless of what we're talking about, who we're talking about. We're saying, open up the tent, come for dinner. We have, that's our conversation. I mean, even in our families, I was just telling the Reverend, my family looks like a rainbow. It's inclusion. I mean, there are people who, my nieces and nephews, no one would know they were related to me. You see what my point is? And so, but we were taught, and our words are inclusive wording.
And the proof, Livonia,
Mm-hmm.
every movement that we sparked as African Americans and African people, every movement that we were involved in, every effort, including the Revolutionary War, the first to die in the Revolutionary War was a black man, Crispus
That's
Attucks.
right.
Our boats, our tide lifted all the boats.
Mhm.
Sure. Right.
So when we talk about as those who even built this country, we talk about what we ought to do, remind ourselves of that very history. Everybody's going to benefit. Everybody will benefit. And we've always operated within that beloved community. So I think that's what we have to do. I think we have to remind ourselves of that. I think we're going to have to ultimately figure out a way how we're going to deal with artificial intelligence, how we're going to deal with social media, which controls so much of our thing. We are so saturated with information. Nobody can even think for themselves anymore. and thinking is becoming obsolete as artificial intelligence comes in.
That's what they're
So
trying to do.
we've also got to figure out ways in which and how we're going to address those things as well. But we'll do it. We have no choice.
But we're the ones who have to make it happen, because we don't even physically have books anymore.
No.
Our children are not learning to read. My mother made the point. She said, if you cannot write in cursive, that means you cannot read the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution in its original form.
That's right.
See, because I had someone close to us who could only tell time digitally. And I'll say it was my sister, Dr. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Jonathan, being the big brother that he has always been, I was already away in college.
Mm-hmm.
He went to our mother immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Mama, that's a problem." And Jackie went right to Marva Collins School.
Isn't that something?
I
haven't heard that name in a while.
Oh, absolutely. Because these were when teachers walked into the classroom, and they were the most polished, elegant women and men in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and now we won't let nurses be professionals. Are you serious?
Yes.
You got to have an insult level, everybody. First of all, the janitor should be a professional. Mr. Allen, the janitor at my grammar school, I'll never forget him. His closet was immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
And he was immaculate every day. Fresh pressed suit. When you walked into that school, the floors shone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was Mr. Allen, and he put on a suit and came to school every day.
That's right.
See, wait a minute. And guess what? If you don't think that the janitor is necessary, if you don't think the garbage man and woman are necessary, let them go on strike.
That's right.
Let's just stop it, y'all.
Yeah.
We've got to get our priorities together. Everybody's not going to make a lot of money, but everybody should make decent money. Everybody should be able to live a good life.
Yeah.
I didn't say everybody's going to be wealthy. Everybody's not going to be wealthy, but everybody should have a good life. Good life. And live in a nice home, a nice bungalow. Bungalows now are hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're out of reach because BlackRock is buying up everything. You ought to be insulted by that.
Yeah.
Bungalows used to be considered the affordable homes.
They're not affordable.
Think about that, y'all. Think about it.
Do you not watch HGTV? No, you don't watch all this stuff.
No,
it's when you see that, you're like, wait, when I look at these houses, I'm like, wait a minute.
A bungalow was affordable homes, no longer.
$200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. The American dream, no. You're going to see a lot of people push back on this, and we should. I want to get some closing thoughts from each of you. And, Mark, you and I are going to have to do some more things together going forward. Because maybe it could be tomorrow, because we need to talk about SHERRONE more. That's what we're going to do. So, and what
I don't have to be here for that. I'm scared to talk about it.
And you know what we're going to do?
But the question is why?
We're gonna.
Why am I
He's
scared?
brother.
No,
So
no,
why?
no. Hold that
Okay.
until tomorrow. We're gonna do it tomorrow. Give me the time. Let me know what time you're available, Livonia and Mark.
I
Let me
want to
know
make
what.
sure that Mark is available.
No. We're gonna put Mark in the middle. See, instead of you being in the middle, he's gonna be Moni. We're gonna put him right here.
He's sweating already. I've never seen you sweat.
Wait a minute.
That's
That someone feels a little bit of guilt.
no. That's a third rail for me. Because on the one hand, you know, you want a brother to have an opportunity like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very difficult for me to defend, justify, speculate brother, white wife, white mistress, all of that. And I think we need to get some more information.
Well, you know what? She's the journalist. I think we need to talk these things through. That's why this issue, because to be honest with you, look, people love who they love for whatever reasons that they do. I can live with that. But I think we need to discuss that because marriage is political. It is the most profound conscious statement I think that you're going to make, aside from a religious commitment. That having been said, the politics of becoming a head coach, these are overwhelmingly Black athletes, and there's always been a resistance to having a Black father figure for our Black boys. That's the pushback on Deion Sanders and his son Shador.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know that it may be premature to compare SHERRONE to Deion.
No. What I'm saying is there's something to be said that when I look at, we need to take some of this stuff apart because there's a lot more to this. And when
Right.
I was
I would
talking
like
to
to say
Livonia,
with the SHERRONE situation, if I'm correct, and for years, in the African American community, NAACP, the Urban League, Rainbow Push, because they have a sports division, Rainbow Push.
yes,
That there was a push, a fight, a demand that we look at having African American men and women in leadership roles, such as coaches of teams, be they college, high school, college, or NFL or NBA or WNBA. So we've been fighting for this position to be opened up to African Americans. And so there is a discussion. Should we even be concerned? So we could say, oh, it's no big deal. Whatever he did, he made a mistake. And that's fact. And all of us could make a mistake like that. Should we as a community be concerned with this particular issue, being that it's Michigan State, Ohio, Illinois, whatever? Should we put some energy into it, Mark? I guess that's what I'm saying.
well, you know what? Hold on. No. Wait. Because we've crossed the 2-hour line.
Okay. All right, we'll wait.
No, what we will do is do this tomorrow. Because I think that this is a real discussion for us to have. We talked about this, but I said, well, maybe I didn't realize the political discussion would go this far, but it did, and I'm glad that it did. But because I think there's a lot that we can unpack with this particular story. There is a lot, and I'm okay with it. I think that we're mature enough to have the discussion. And you know what? You might draw some different conclusions at the end of the discussion or next week with more information. There's just a lot. There is a lot because it's also a very human story.
Yes, it is.
It's a very human story.
It's tragic.
Well,
it
you
is.
know what? It is, but it doesn't have to be. If you learn from it, tragedy can become triumph. You can always become strongest in your broken places. But it depends upon how we handle it, and because there's a lot. There are a lot of people have done a lot of things that were wrong, and he's not the only one who did that.
Yeah.
So let's.
But you said I just want you to understand my position.
No.
There are a lot of Black women who are angry at SHERRONE Moore, and I don't want to defend anything before I know what's happening.
I've cut this off.
Okay.
AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, the Santita Jackson Show. We will see you tomorrow. And okay, and we're off here. And black
Okay.
women, but I'm gonna have to go. But black
Me
women
too.
can't be upset because all black women are not angry about this.
No, you're
All
right.
of us
Not
are
all of
not.
them.
All
You're
of
right.
us are not. And you know what? As many issues as we have, everybody needs to get over it. People like there are too many white men who are now feeling comfortable coming to black women and saying, you know what, I like you. They always have, but now they'll marry you. Okay. So get all that off the table. People do what they do. There's more than because a lot of us simply like my father because he is someone who looks a certain way, who was married to a black wife who was brown. She looked like a sister. Am I not right, Livonia?
Absolutely.
Okay. The same. I remember the Newsweek cover story, the first one on Michelle. It was entitled "The Meaning of Michelle." Second or third sentence in. The first thing about Michelle is that you must know she's brown. I mean, really brown. She's not mixed. I mean, really? What's that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
It means our issues are that profound. We're still, because you have too many of our sisters who still want to have the yellow child.
Mm.
We got a lot of stuff we got to unpack. So let's stop playing.
Yeah.
Stop playing. The thing is, you got more than half of these kids who are playing football who are black, and they're only 12.5% or 12.3% of the coaches. These are jobs where they make tens of millions of dollars a year, and they shape lives.
And
Well,
then once again, I want to go back to Mark that it's about the job and the position that we've been fighting for the last 20. I mean, what happened to that conversation?
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
Years.
You see,
Well-
Daryl said, I want to tune into this discussion tomorrow. Don't worry. We're not going to give it all away. Don't
But-
worry.
but-
We're going to do it. And
but-
this is all Livonia.
but the only question, we're not still streaming, are we? No.
Yeah, we
No.
are. We're still on.
Okay.
We are.
So keep your mouth shut.
Oh,
And
okay. Gotcha.
we are going to do this tomorrow. Enough. Now
Okay.
I'm eating my chicken noodle soup.
Okay, y'all. Livonia, good to see you.
Good seeing you always, Mark.
That's what I
Always.
ate today.
I would like to participate in the Pettis Bridge March 2026 activities.
Come on, just
When do they begin?
get your plane ticket and come on.
I
Okay.
think we're gonna have to go this year.
I really want to.
I think we're gonna go this year because I don't think my
Yeah,
father.
you should. Right. I think we should go. We really
It
should.
is so. It begins Thursday, March 4th.
Thursday, March
Sunday-
4th. I'm writing it
I'm sorry,
down.
Thursday, March 5th. Thursday, March 5th through Sunday, March 8th.
March
Okay.
5th through the 8th.
Yeah. Try to find you. There aren't really.
I like it. Where was it? I like being in Birmingham. We were at a really lovely place last year.
That's too far though. That's 90 minutes.
I don't mind. It was a lovely place.
But that's a lot of driving back and forth every day.
Honey.
There's the Selma. They renovated the Selma hotel.
Yeah, but it's closed. It's closed. It's
closed?
they can't keep it open. Yeah, it's closed.
Oh, okay. So that's
start
closed.
looking for spaces in Montgomery.
In Montgomery.
Okay, because I really
find me a
Birmingham.
place. Find me a position where I can speak, so I can have a reason. I can get a sponsor to send me financially. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me work on that. Okay.
I appreciate that.
How about that?
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
Woo! Somebody said they're ready for the conversation tomorrow.
Of course, yeah, they're ready for it because they know. Look, I don't pull punches, and I need to there because I think at the end of the day, people need to be able to do what it is that they want to do, love who they want to love, and just be done.
I
with it.
agree.